Next, we're going to go to Mike Allen, who is one of the leaders of Oregon's Elder Climate Action, and Todd Weber, a leader here in Northern California. They both are well on the way to the electrification journey, and they're going to talk about hiring and finding and all that stuff that dealing with contractors, which sometimes scares people. But Mike and Todd have done a pretty good job of figuring it out in their own electrification, how to go about doing this. So Mike and Todd, I'll turn it over to you.
Next slide. Hi, I'm Mike Allen. I'll be giving you some background in my electrification story. I live on the Oregon Central Coast near the small river city of Florence. I'm co-leader with my wife, Pat, of a local climate activist group. And as you can see in the photo, we actively promote electrifying everything. Next. Pat and I arrived here 10 years ago after traveling the country in our RV. We bought a manufactured home. Like most homes on the coast, we are totally electric. The appliances were old and not very efficient. When we visited two of our neighbors, they showed us their heat pumps. They were able to heat all of their rooms and saved on their electric bills. So 4 years ago, we asked a local heating and cooling company to give us an estimate. We were not impressed. First, by their inability to show us a realistic connection to our electric grid, and then by the high cost estimate. Pat remembered that our local library had several heat pumps installed. Their contractor was more receptive to working with us, not only on price, but on recommending a Fujitsu split heat pump. This model jets the warm air straight out and has levers that rotate left and right. We invested in the heat pump mainly to save money, up to $60 a month in the winter. But we appreciate that its energy efficiency is less of a drain on our hydroelectric power grid. Next. We contracted with an energy auditor to evaluate our home. We scored 80 out of 100. To get to 100, he recommended we upgrade the insulation under the house and add a heat pump water heater. So our next goal is to find the right heat pump water heater for our home and a contractor to install it. In the meantime, Pat bought an induction stove top, which she really loves. I bought myself an electric bike, and I love riding it in place of my gas guzzling car. And that's the next item that we'll be looking at too, is EVs. So that's my story. I would love to hear your story when we break out into our groups. Thank you. Next.
Hi, folks. I'm Todd Weber. Some of you know me already. I've been working with NorCal now for about 5 years. I started off on this fascinating little thing. We have this old, beautiful Spanish bungalow, not quite as old as Roger's house, but it had these incredibly old water heater and HVAC system. And so we thought, well, let's figure out what would be involved. And what I did in my path, and this is part of what, as Roger went through, Roger went through, where do you get a plan? How do you do all that? And he showed you one path. I ended up going to what Robert refers to as a concierge service. And here in California, we have a thing called Quit Carbon. And what they do is they go around and pre-qualify different contractors. And so I got to go online with them, and similar to what Roger talked about, I filled out a whole quiz and everything, and they came back and they started making proposals to me based on what I had put in as my big plan. And I'm kind of crazy. I'm a retired engineer, so my first plan was this huge plan, and we were going to get everything wired for all of our electric cars and everything else. And it turned out to be kind of expensive, but then we were going to have to wait on PG&E, our electric primary wire provider. and that was going to take forever. And then it worked out working with the contractors that the Quit Carbon people recommended to me. We ended up moving quickly into the HVAC system and also the electric heat pump water heater. And over a couple of weeks, it's almost embarrassing to say that. Anyway, I have nothing to offer beyond just wonderful comments about doing this change. It's just amazing. I am bound by commitment. I can't replace the gas stove because that's my wife's personal property. So she gets to keep her gas stove, but we did replace the other things, the critical things. And so what Mike and I are going to offer and talk about is how do you go about getting a contractor? Next slide, please. And what we did is, well, how would you even begin to figure this out? So I went, people tell me I'm supposed to learn about artificial intelligence. So you can either ask the Google or ask Chat GPT. I put in, so my home city that I was born and raised in was Waukesha, Wisconsin. I put in how to find the best home electrification contractors in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And by the way, as mentioned earlier, you'll get all of these slides and stuff after the presentation. So when we get through, and I won't read through all of these, but this is what Chat GPT or Google would do the same thing for you, came back with me with just a list of, how to do some of the research, what to read, learn the language involved. How would you check credentials for the people that you're considering for your contract work? Next slide, please. Ask for referrals, and I cheated because Robert Whitehair and I worked together here in Northern California, and I knew he had done a total electrification of his house. So when I ran into a question that I didn't have any way to guess what the right answer would be, I called up Robert, and he said, well, you could do this or you could do that. Referrals are incredible. Find people that have done things ahead of you. Get multiple quotes. In my case, both the ask for referrals and get multiple quotes, I covered that with using the concierge, the Quit Carbon people. They guided me. Interviewing potential contractors. Again, in my case, Quit Carbon actually pre-screens everybody that they then list out to potential customers. Check references and consider specialization. Mike talked about there are a lot of really, really bad contractors that have been doing gas installations their whole life, but they've figured out that they need to do electrification, so they put that on their website. But when it comes right down to do they really know what to do correctly and not put things in backwards? They don't know. So specialization matters. Next slide, please. And professionalism and communication. I had incredible contractors. These people were just amazing. They came in. I had so many dumb questions. They had all answers for my dumb questions, and we moved quickly. Watch your contracts, because the thing about the flow through of warranty on the equipment that gets installed for you, et cetera, that's all really important. So you'll have to put in for warranties and stuff for your equipment, know how long that's going to be good for you. And then just, this is a repeat. You'll hear this over and over again. The best contractor for your project is someone who brings you what you need for your plan, for your hopes and desires. And that's really what it's all about. The additional references there on the slide for Electrify Your Life Resources. And again, the disclaimer, we don't know it all. And in fact, we're looking forward to the breakout sessions where you'll ask us questions, and some of the other people that are in the breakout session will already know the answer to your question, and we wouldn't know because we didn't run into that. But I think the breakout sessions will be great. And again, thank you all for being here. Mike and I appreciate your time, and hopefully we can do you well for taking your time for the day. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Maria. Hi,
Hi.
Jennifer. Hi, Carol.
Great, thanks. Nice to see you.
Hi.
We're trying to do something here. We're trying to record the chat and everything in a breakout session, and that's kind of new for
That's very new. I'm very glad you're going
Mike
to
and
figure that
I.
out. I've been wanting to do that for years now.
Okay, I've also um, entered, wait a minute, admit to main session. Don't know anything about that. Okay, I'm gonna start recording chat here. I've got the video, I'm sorry, the Zoom thing going, and recording on. Interesting. Okay, Michael is here. Deborah has come in. Roger is here. Holy cow, this is like romper room, remember? I see Billy. I'm sorry.
Hi, Todd.
Very true.
Displaying my age, but that was all in black and white back in those days.
I
So
know. I know.
So, you heard Mike and I both kind of give our briefs. What we want to do is have you ask in chat anything that you'd like to have covered while we're in here, because we're old and we forget things sometimes, or we only get half of it. So if you put into chat what your question is, if we don't get to it, we'll try to follow up with you and send you some further information afterwards about it. But we also realize that everybody is at different stages of this. So if Mike and I don't have an answer for your question, somebody else that's in the meeting or in the breakout session here may have an answer. So let's go ahead. What do you think, Mike? Should we have people just say hi and where are they from? Just so you guys already know, I'm in San Jose and Mike is in Florence.
That'd be helpful, and maybe a little tidbit of where you're at in terms of your electrification.
Excellent. Sherry Stark, do you want to start?
I'm sorry, I was writing a question, so I didn't hear. I'm from West Hollywood, and I'm at the beginning of this quest. The question that I was putting in is that we're kind of afraid to have the city come out and inspect our house because we've got patios that the contractor that did, I don't think, got permits. So is that the first step? You have to have somebody come out and inspect to get your electrification audit?
Actually, it works out easier than that here in San Jose. I presume you're probably the same. The city inspectors are like busy with all of the things they're supposed to be inspecting. You'll end up filing for an inspection once your installation is done, but it's focused on what you got installed. And that auditor comes out and he looks right at that according to the rules about that thing.
Okay.
And that's it. They sign off and you're done. My experience, I think yours is probably the same, Mike.
Well, I had an independent auditor who did it for me. It was so he had nothing to do with our local authorities.
And
then the
before?
contractor took care of any when they did the electrical, if they needed to do any permitting, they took care of that. But the auditor itself was independent of anything the city does. That's information for you to act on.
Okay.
Depends on where you get your source of your auditor too. I mean, some cities might even provide that kind of service.
I was happy to see that Bob, I think in another breakout room, Bob is in Southern California. So now that I realize that, I talk to him every week. I will ask him for what contractor he used or what auditor he used, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. Maria, you're busy writing a question potentially, but do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm in Andover, Massachusetts, and very involved with this group in town, We working to educate for climate action now. And we're trying to, get people to electrify everything. I find it very confusing, though. We have already installed solar panels on our roof, We have oil heat. But, you know, we have a big house, and it's not clear to me whether the ducting that we have currently for the air conditioning is adequate to use for heat pumps. Anyway, I just found this group called Elephant Energy, which is in Colorado, and they just started in Massachusetts. And they will do the whole thing for you. Like you tell them, you know, give them all your information, and then they tell you what you need to do. And they line up all the rebates. And so it's kind of for the overwhelmed elderly person that is not an engineer. And, you know, I just got in touch with them. So I haven't gotten their estimate.
Yeah.
So I don't know how expensive
Yeah.
it will be, and if I would save a lot doing things myself or what. But you know, we have cedar shingle roof, which we had to convert to asphalt to put the solar panels on. But it's hard to add insulation to the attic because half the attic is still cedar shingle. So, you know, there's just a lot of complicating factors. And my husband, everything has to pay for itself, you know, because my
Over time.
husband was a CFO, you know, it's like a bane of my existence. So that's kind of, you know, and I've been involved with Heat Smart Alliance, and we have a couple of people in Andover who are coaches. And we're also trying as a town to get the town to hire a BODE, which would do this kind of coaching for people. So people are pretty overwhelmed, you know, with how to do these things. So, you know, we're trying to find simplified ways for people, you know, to do what they want to do.
And
It could be
this is complex.
Yeah.
It
A
is.
step at a time, right? A step
Every
at a time,
house
something.
is different too, you know, it's crazy.
Well, thank you, Maria. Let's see. Carol?
I live in Rockville, Maryland, and we live in a house that was, I think, built in 1960. So there's very little insulation. We had an energy audit, and we didn't do it. We didn't do the stuff, and I hear you guys about that. We have too many trees, so we are members of a community solar plan, but not.
Yeah.
We have a gas furnace. It's pretty darn old, but how do you? I mean, if it's still working, it's pretty hard to have them take it out. So we have to get beyond that. And the only thing we really have is power tools, ego power, you know, rakes and blowers and lawnmowers and all that. So that's my story. Sad.
One question, but yeah. Sometimes you can supplement gas systems with ducted heat pumps and have that as a backup. That's what our neighbor has done.
Okay, I'll make a note of that.
Thank you, Carol. Jennifer.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jen Hollingsworth. I'm in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Let's see, our journey, we have solar. We have a 13 kilowatt DC array that produces about 10. We have 2 EVs, an electric dryer, but we still have gas heat, gas, hot water, and gas stove. So that's all in progress.
Right.
And I'm a member of the Board of Public Utilities here in Los Alamos. So our county has a 2070 goal for all electrification. So it's far out there, but you know, deemed at least somewhat realistic to try to convince folks to at least, you know, finally move away from gas stoves. I think that'll be the hardest one. We have a 2030 or 2040, depending on which entity in the county you're talking about, for making sure that the electricity coming into the county is from a non-carbon source. So that's a much nearer term goal. We recently invested in a big solar project. There's massive debate within the community about whether they should continue to encourage rooftop solar. I'm obviously a proponent, but others are focusing instead on these big solar projects, et cetera. I would assume we could do both. But anyway, so that's what we're up to. We also have a vacation home in Scotland. That's an old church built in 1840. So that's where we're actually probably going to be getting heat pumps put in for some of the heating because the furnaces there are pretty old. So that'll be an interesting experiment. Yeah, I guess that's basically that. And then my question, which I put into chat, was about California's quit carbon that pre-screens contractors. I'm wondering if anybody knows if other states have something equivalent, similar, and if so, there might, a useful list would be if there is some kind of equivalent in other states to have that list, because I think that's going to be a big challenge. Thanks.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Deborah.
Hi, I'm in San Rafael, California, which is just north of San Francisco. And I installed solar panels and I bought a Bolt all EV.
Yeah.
And I put in a heat pump, even though I don't use the air conditioning part of it. We just leave our windows open all summer. We're lucky around here.
Right.
And what else? Okay, I guess that's about it. My next challenge is a electric stove because I do have COPD and I can feel the difference in my lungs when I'm cooking. So that would be a priority. The electric dryer is less of a priority since we hang out our clothes. We only do laundry when we can hang out our clothes. So that was good. So my questions are, I think first of all, I need an electrician. I need an electrician to go up and check my solar panels. They haven't been looked at for about 4 years now, and I want to make sure that they're running. I have no idea what to look for in that little box they tell you can check out. I mean, I'm brain dead on that capacity. And I want to also check my electrical panels. I'm in a 1910 house, and we had knob and tube, and so now it's all been rewired 30 years ago. But I'm not sure whether I have capacity for all of these things that we are wanting to put in. So an electrician would be a priority of mine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Deborah. And just as a comment, we thought originally for our house, because we were going to get wired for everything, electric cars and all that, that we'd need an electrical panel upgrade. And that was going to turn out to be about $13,000 extra, because here in San Jose, the rules have changed considerably. And it turned out that the big driving factor is I thought I needed a 240 volt line for the heat pump water heater, but it turned out my contractor had a plug-in 120 volt heat pump water heater, and we had an available circuit down there where that was. So I didn't have to do the electrical panel upgrade, and I saved $13,500 or whatever. So there's good news there, but like you say, you get a hold of someone that knows what they're doing, and they can kind of walk you into that. And on the you're asking the right question about your solar panels. Mine we put up about 5-6 years ago. The technology has really come quite a long way since you folks and we put ours in. So having someone who understands the solar technology that you have makes perfect sense to be able to talk to you about any options if you're looking for like a backup battery or anything. So really good questions, Deborah. Let's go ahead and Roger.
I just have one last thing I want to say. And that backup batteries, I have somebody who put in a Tesla backup battery, and that was $20,000. Oh. So that's a pretty extravagant use of $20,000, I think.
Yes, indeed. And there's kind of good news. Last legislative season in California here, they passed a law pushing for, if we do this correctly, we're going to be the first state that actually standardizes using the electric batteries in your EV as backup for your house. It's called bidirectional.
Right.
It requires additional circuitry. Again, the reference to your solar, and my solar is a little bit older, which would modify the type of electronics I'd have to have added. I don't have an EV yet, but good news if you already have an EV, but they're trying to make all of the EVs across California add to the backup capacity of the state to handle grid requirements. It seems like a simple answer,
Right.
but anyway, we're working on it. So that's
But
coming.
mine is a 4-year-old EV, so I would have to start over, I think, in order to put in bidirectional.
Actually, they'll come out with kits for older ones too.
Oh, okay,
So
that's good news.
yeah, there's lots of good news coming there. We'll just have to wait. Thank you, Deborah. Roger.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm from Minneapolis, 1924 home, and we've got gas boiler, gas range, gas hot water. We did just upgrade our panel from 100 amp to 200 amp in preparation for changes we want to get in a heat pump and use that with the boiler as a backup heat source, and be ready to replace the range and hot water heater when they go out. Our roof, we are getting a metal roof coming up, and that'll be ready, more solar ready. We do have some shading, but I'm hoping with newer technologies that the payback might be a little better.
And the new solar technology actually tracks, as you have multiple panels, it knows which panel is in shade. And the new technology that I mentioned to Deborah there, the newer solar technologies actually move around the active part to get out of the shade and make sure it's running in the sun.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And we do have a community. We belong to a community solar panel as well.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's
so we're trying to.
Yeah, that's a growing trend. Yeah, that's a good idea. When you can't do the solar because of shading and all that, we bought 4 actually in our public utilities.
Anything else, Roger?
The challenge now is heat pumps and finding a contractor and finding equipment. We kind of held back because of the change to the new refrigerants coming online.
Although those won't really be online in any volume that you could ask for discounts or expect any discounts for probably 6 months to a year. The current refrigerants are still the last version that are by and large built and out there available to be installed, which you've run into that already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Michael Mulligan. Oop.
Hello. Yeah, I'm actually on a. Thank you for holding. I'm doing a doctor thing, Todd. I gotta go.
Okay. All right. Michael is a retired, I believe, pediatrician.
Okay.
So his retirement as a pediatrician hasn't allowed him to not pick up the phone. So we got you, Michael. No worries. Okay. It says we have 0 time and we've got to go back. Thank you all. You can come back the next time if you want to talk more, or you can go to a different breakout room.
Right. And thank you. And I love the advocacy that a lot of you are also doing, which is my forte, is promoting this statewide as well. Join those groups.
One last quick question. Water heaters on demand. Does anyone have any feelings about an on-demand water heater versus a regular one?
Everything I've seen is those are gas because of the massive amount of heat it requires suddenly.
Okay.
And electric takes a little longer to fill up the tub. And so that's a path to gas.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm glad to know that.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you. Maybe we'll see you again in a few minutes. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're back. Let me turn on the recording. Yeah, now it says it. Oh.
We're back.
Hi, Carol. Hi. Oop, you moved. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Roy. Roy looks like a globe.
Hi there.
Hi, Marna. Hello,
Todd, were we able to get,
Crystal.
yeah, were we able to get everybody in that last round?
I don't know. We'll have to see once this is all done. Things are moving on my screen that
Yeah.
are not things I would have
back.
expected to move. Hi,
Somebody's back.
Michael.
Oh, Michael's back. Good.
Thanks. Okay, where were we? Let's see. If you weren't with us in the last one, so Mike and I, we talked a little bit. You may or may not have been in the main session where Mike talked about his what he did. I talked a little bit about what I did and some references. Mike Mulligan had been in the last one, but he ended up with a phone call, so he's back. Let's see, we've got Judy with us, we've got Margaret. Do we want to go ahead? Let's see. If you would introduce yourself and a little bit of the background of where you are in your journey, we'll share that amongst each other here. We're making a presumption that Mike and I, you've already heard from us, you know our story.
Right.
So you guys go ahead, and then as Mike and I have any comments or whatever, we'll try to add them in. Please, please, please put your questions in the chat so that if we don't get to your questions here during our session, that we'll try to follow up with you and get you an answer for your specific question. And if it's okay with everybody else, I'll start with Michael. Go ahead and.
Okay. Sorry about that. I still doing the doctor thing once in a while.
You retired pediatrics people.
They
keep having more children, and you keep
Yeah.
getting more work.
Yeah. I have 7 grandsons now under the age of 7. My daughters call with medical questions. So we have solar on the roof. We have an electric car and electric charging. We have an induction stove. And my next step is heat pump for heating. And I've been trying to work on this for over a year. I'm up in the Sierra foothills, and the contractors up here, as you guys mentioned, they've been putting in the gas stuff and propane in my case forever. And I could just tell the first guy here, because I'd done a little bit of my own research, didn't know a lot about what he was doing. And I don't have a lot of confidence in trying to find a contractor to figure out whether it's mini splits or ducted using existing ducting. So yeah, that's my dilemma. I want to do it, but it's kind of trying to get the confidence that some guy knows what they're doing.
So I would, Mike, you're muted there. One recommendation, Quit Carbon is the concierge service that we used. Someone had asked in the last thing, how much did it pay to use Quit Carbon? As a concierge service, they don't charge us anything. They get a cut of whatever the contractor gets paid for what they build out for us.
Sure.
So there's no money up front or whatever. I am sure what you can do at any given time is go on to the quitcarbon.com website and get a hold of one of their people, would talk to you on the phone. You can ask your question about your area. I know they've been trying to expand, not just across California, but into other nearby states as well. So I would recommend, as soon as you can, get a hold of them through the Quit Carbon site and see what they have. They may have people that they've already worked with.
Okay.
Mike?
Thanks, Todd.
No, I was just going to ask Michael, where are you from? I don't know if you gave your location.
Oh, I didn't put it in there. Meadow Vista, California, which is up Interstate 80 into the mountains on the way to Tahoe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Peggy, do you want to go ahead? And you already gave us a good question.
Yeah, I'm in Virginia and I'm doing my electrification backwards because I haven't gotten an audit yet, and I do have a full EV 3 years ago. But my question is about the fact that I've lived here for 6.5 in this particular house. It's 9 years old. It's pretty efficient. It's a 3-level townhouse. But I'm just not sure whether I should sort of move ahead with this or wait until either my water heater or my HVAC system starts to wear out, which maybe sooner than later, who knows, which I know isn't directly related to contractors, but I mean, that would be the first question I would ask a contractor.
But it's really a good question. And one of the slides, not in Mike or I's presentation, but one of the other ones, one of the first ones talks about the typical life expectancy of, and what we're talking about is water heaters and HVAC systems. They're big, they're fancy, they're expensive, but they're appliances.
Right.
And the thing about appliances is that they break eventually. As you're noticing, eventually yours is going to go up. The challenge of making the conversion into heat pump systems is if you wait until the day your appliance breaks, the chances of you being able to work with a contractor that knows what they're doing and get it all arranged and all that, and not end up spending a few days cold or without any hot water, those chances are pretty low. So the general guidance is look at the listing on that. You'll get all the slides. Again, what's the typical heat range? I think you said your water heater is like 10 years old. I think you're running right up against the back end of the safe expectation. Your warranty, if it hasn't already run out, is about to run out. So that's the general guidance. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, definitely. But there are other reasons why you might make the change before the life cycle ending of any appliance. Typically, people want to get rid of gas appliances because of the health hazards, or they are climate oriented or energy efficiency. I did it based on energy efficiency because we had a hot air blowing system, but it was heated by electricity. We didn't have that concern. So I was driven by the cost benefit of it. So you look at those reasons why you do things as well.
Makes sense.
Is that helpful, Peggy?
Yeah, it's really helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's see. Next person, Judy.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. We're in Wisconsin, and we're looking for heat pump for a heat pump, and we've been waiting for years for the DOE Cold Climate Heat Pump Challenge to finish, and the new models are just being released. And we've started getting bids. And I've already been up to 5, and we may need to keep going. I eliminated 2 just from phone conversations that really, they didn't sound like they knew what they're doing or were trying to talk us out of it, because we would really like to electrify and stop our gas lines. And, we're getting a lot of preaching about that, which I know someone who has actually done this. So it's like, it can be done. But what we're getting in are just tangential issues that we're getting really confused about. We have forced air and a ducted system. And, we're getting all sorts of different recommendations of zoning versus 2 systems, a regular ducted and then a mini split somewhere else. Someone else is just saying, oh, your ducts just need to be re-angled and reconfigured, which would be nice because that's probably going to be the cheapest of the scenarios. But really, nothing like, some of the other things we've talked to them about, there's uniformity in what they're saying, which I feel better about. But these are kind of all over the map. And I think the other thing that we've also run into is just talking to people. I know you're not supposed to oversize a heat pump. We have a 3-ton air conditioner here. But, we've got people saying anywhere from about a 2-ton unit to 5. We've gotten two 4s and a 5 when people have talked to us. So we're getting all different things, and I can keep going and talk to more and different vendors and all of that. But boy, what do you do to sort through those kind of, when you're getting, discussions of things that are so all over the map?
Well, you're certainly living in Wisconsin there. You're not in the middle of a warm climate.
No, we're definitely doing the cold climate, inverter driven and all of that.
As far as the size of the unit, it's my impression only, it's not anything that I did any research on, that the contractor you speak to will try to suggest to you a size that they have in stock.
Okay.
What I ran into, our contractor, there's two versions of this one. There's carrier systems, and then there's a company that they just use the same system but put the other company's name on it. And the other one was $800 less, and that's what I originally wanted. And when I went to go ahead, let's go do it, then those were out of stock. And so I got to make a choice. I had already understood that the carrier version is the same version. So I went ahead and did the $800 just to have it done and finished. But I don't know if anyone else has any experience. My sense, not with research, is the size of the unit that you're recommended has much to do with what they have inventory on, and then they get deals with their suppliers. Can they move? The supplier has too much inventory of this size. Can you guys go out and sell a bunch of these so we can clear that inventory? So if you know what the size of your current system is, the HVAC system, and it's gas, but it satisfies your requirements, then that's a good target to try to stick around. And you can go a little over, it's not going to hurt, it'll be a little more expensive. You can go a little under and it might be fine. But again, I think it's more to do with what they have in inventory.
And I've read that if you oversize, you can get something into short cycling, which makes you use up a lot more electricity, which obviously, again, with electric rates being high in our cold climate, that's not necessarily something we'd want to do.
The sizes, I think oversizing in those kind of discussions is like really oversizing.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's good to know too. Okay.
Thank you very much, Judy. Marna, are you there? Hello, Marna. We don't see your picture. So anyway, Marna's still muted. Let's go ahead, Margaret. Margaret. Hello, Margaret. Oop. We'll move on to Crystal.
Hey, I'm here.
Good.
So I'm in Maryland, and I've had solar panels since 2011, an electric car since 2019. And we just, in 2023, we got a heat pump water heater. We switched over. I bought, for Black Friday, I bought an induction cooktop that's electric.
Yeah.
And I also bought an EV charger, which I've always just used our local ones and paid, and I got an EV charger for here. So my question, and I still have a high efficiency gas furnace, which we got 5 years ago, and so that's sticking around for a while. But that'll be the only thing left that's gas in the house. But my question is that I was just working with a random electrician that's like 5 stars on Thumbtack, and he says he knows how to do the installation for the induction cooktop and the EV charger. And so I was thinking, okay, fine. I don't know. Should I be worried about that? He said he could do it. He could do both of them. I think it's like $2,000. I got to talk quietly so my husband doesn't hear that astronomical number. But so I think it's fine, unless I should be more worried and get a second opinion or something.
Yeah.
I think
I'm surprised about the cooktop. We just plug ours into a regular outlet, just as, that portable mobile thing.
No, we have a built-in gas cooktop that we're replacing with an electric
Oh,
one.
okay. Okay, the whole
And
top.
so it doesn't have, so it doesn't have the electrical 220 volt or whatever is
Gotcha.
underneath them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one of those portable small ones.
And I think one of the big deals where you really need to be careful about the contractor is if they're installing a heat pump system that's currently gas, whether it's a heat pump water heater or a heat pump HVAC, because uh, they can misconnect the pipes and stuff. Mike, tell us again about you had a problem there.
Well, yeah, it was just a matter of how uncertain the original contractor was on the proper way to connect to our electrical box. And the new one came in and he was right on. He knew exactly what to do.
Well,
But that was a subcontractor to the contractor that actually installed, the electrician was a subcontractor working directly with the contractor that installed the heat pump itself.
well, I didn't get any, inspections or anything like that. I had a plumber, my normal plumber. He tried to talk me into replacing my gas heat pump, no, water heater
Mhm.
with a gas water heater, and I said,
Oh, yeah, of
no,
course.
I don't want that. But
Mhm.
he finally gave in and said okay, and did it. So I'm assuming it's right. Should I have it inspected or something?
No, if it's working, then it's correct. But
Okay.
there's a number of examples where the installer turned out to that customer was the first one that installer ever tried to install a heat pump for.
Yeah, right.
And stuff like that. But you're talking about just like with the oven and actually it's
EV
worked
charger.
out with the EV charger. Those are pretty straightforward electrical
Oh, good.
changes to your electrical system. As
Okay.
long as you get a high quality, and in your state, the electricians get certified or whatever. As long as you get a good electrician that's qualified as an electrician, that should be fine in my experience. Does anyone else have any other experience otherwise? Yeah, the
Okay.
raw electrical stuff is you just want a really good electrician, and someone who won't do something that then causes you an electrical problem down the road
Sure.
of some type. But that's electrician business, good electrician business.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Crystal. Let's see, Margaret, are you there yet? Hello, Margaret. Hello, Margaret. Where's Margaret? How about, we've only got 2 minutes left. Marna, are you there? Roy, we've cut you short. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Are you there? Earth to Roy. Roy is Earth.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but thank you.
Okay.
Where are you from, Roy? Just to get a perspective of where we're coming from. Where are you from?
Boston.
Boston, great.
Okay.
I lived in Lexington. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of good stuff happening in Massachusetts, that's for sure.
Yes, it's not cheap for you guys to get power, but a lot of good stuff going on out there. Any other last questions? We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds. We'll run through, let's see, we talked about the hiring an electrician, not just get a good electrician.
Yeah.
And a lot of times your neighbors will have hired electricians for various things in their home, and they're good. You probably also have an electrician, like a union of electricians in your state, and they would list out different electricians in different areas. Currently getting bids, cold climate. Yeah, we talked about Judy's question there about cold climate. Let's see, Peggy, 9 years old. We talked about that. We'll get you everyone. Ooh, that's from the previous one, I guess. We'll get everybody email addresses. Thank you all. This is amazing that we're all doing this separately but together.
Exactly. One of the things I found very helpful here in Oregon is that we have two excellent groups that have formed just around the theme of electrification. One provides coaches, as was mentioned earlier in an earlier talk, and the other is an educational piece. One's Electrify Oregon and one Electrify Now. And so look out for those kinds of groups to join and be a promoter yourself. You can be a coach in a sense, and check your neighbors, because that's how I found good resources, is through my neighbors.
And definitely use, a couple of the other people that gave presentations today, they have links to like Rewiring America or something. And go ahead, check those out and see if that takes you to somebody in your area who has the experience. Because like I depended heavily on my concierge, the Quit Carbon people. They were absolutely wonderful. When I decided I wanted to change my plan, I called them up and said, would you go talk to that contractor? Because I don't want to tell them I'm not going to use them anymore. And they took care of all of that business.